in St Albans, Hertfordshire, which is just north of London. I came here because of a Kiwi bloke who I met on holiday romance in Greece, and that's 12 and a half years ago, so yeah. But he's still here, so it can't be that bad. I live in Te Atatu Peninsula. We've lived here for about 8.5 years. This is our first house we bought together. I like the fact that it's a peninsula and it's got boundaries, so you know where it begins and ends. The installation I created for the Harbourview sculpture trail is called Harbourview's Laundry. I used tea towels partly because it was the easiest piece of cloth to hang on the lines. It wasn't going to distract from the print on them. Tea towels are so neutral, they frame the prints quite nicely. I made the tea towels. I went to Spotlight and I got some calico, and I spent long hours in the evening cutting out the right size and then pinning them all and hemming them all and washing them all, so it's quite a lot of time. Some people are probably a bit confused about seeing such an ordinary object in what they think is going to be sculpture. If people haven't seen a lot of sculpture, they imagine it's going to be big wooden sculptures or big stone things. I guess it makes it accessible. People are quite willing to come up and touch it because they're so used to dealing with their own washing line. It doesn't look like something that you shouldn't come and play with, swing on, break, you know.
So the work we were looking for the sculpture trail had to be really related to Te Atatu. It had to be related either environmentally or site-specific or have some historical reference, but also related in a political and social way to the issues that were happening in Te Atatu. One of the reasons we chose Carol's work, because it seemed that because she's a recent immigrant to New Zealand coming from England, that she seemed to be able to portray things that Kiwis take very much for granted in a very simple, direct manner.
So I wanted to make something that was site-specific, because I just live up the road, so I'm quite familiar with this area. So I went down to the library and there's a couple of really detailed studies about this area. And they mapped everything, you know, fish, invasive species, weeds, birds, the whole lot. But I identified a few things that I thought were interesting and that people might not know about. So the fern bird is the first design that I made. They're very brown, they're not good flyers, they hop through the undergrowth. One of the other designs I've got is the spider, the nursery web spider. And that's really common down here. I can see one there on the gorse bush. It's those little nesty pockets that appear at the top of trees. So they're really common. And just one at the back there is the godwit. The godwits are an interesting bird. They fly all the way to Alaska and they come back to exactly the same place every year. So I chose them partly because of that distance that they fly, but also I wanted to draw parallels between that distance and them coming from a long way away to all of the people in New Zealand having come from somewhere else. So we're all immigrants. I needed some way to display these things, so a washing line was obvious, but then I also thought the washing line was it references New Zealand popular culture, you know, it's a pretty iconic thing, the metal washing line. The pegs that I've used down there are those really old-fashioned dollies type pegs, and people's reactions have been interesting. They're like, oh, can you still get those? But I could really jam them down onto the washing line because the washing's been up there for a month. I thought it was a nice place to put a washing line. Nice view. And my top tip is don't leave your washing out for a month because it starts going mouldy. One of the things about the sculpture trail was that they wanted to make it a journey of discovery, partly just people discovering this part of the peninsula, and I think it's been successful in that.